We have an industry leader who's not just running a trucking company, he's redefining what it means to build a people-first, innovative, and resilient business in the trucking industry. AJ Tucker, president of Tucker Freight Lines, has been in the trucking industry for over 25 years, owning and scaling multiple companies along the way, transforming his fleet from 27 power units to nearly 300 right now. Here he is, president of Tucker Freight Lines. Let's get to know him a little bit more in detail. AJ, thank you so much for for joining me today. Really want to hear a lot about you, about your company. So first, let's get started off, and I want to, if you can just introduce yourself to the audience.
Yeah, AJ Tucker, president of Tucker Freight Lines in Dubuque, Iowa.
Awesome. And how long has Tucker Freight Lines been around for?
So our business is technically it's Art Pape Transfer doing business as Tucker Freight Lines. It's been around since 1956. We have a 4-digit US DOT number, so that's pretty cool. Tucker Freight Lines portion, my wife and I purchased the business in 2018, July of 2018, from the Papes, third generation Papes. And we've been growing the business ever since. So we've had it, the two of us have had it almost 7 years now. So.
And you're running a fleet of how many?
Close to 300 trucks right now.
300 power units. Wow. And when you purchased it, how many units were there?
27.
27. Wow. So in 3 years, you were able to. In 7 years, from 27 to 300.
Yeah. We shrunk a little bit last year. 24 is one of the worst years I've seen in the business, but we pulled back a little bit last year. But yeah, we're right around there, and we've got good growth plans for this year. So we'll far exceed that.
Wow. Listen, I'm really impressed, I have to say. I can't imagine what you go through on a daily basis, but I'm going to pick at it and ask you some technical questions. When you first bought the business with your wife, 20-something power units. First of all, why trucking? How did you choose trucking, that this is what you wanted to get into?
So I've been in it my whole life. I always say my third and final trucking company that I'll own or be a partner in. So I started one back in '99 with just one truck and one trailer and me as the driver, and went out and figured out the business and started growing the business, and grew it to we had a very successful company. I got into it with my father, and he didn't know anything about trucking, and I knew just a little bit, enough to be dangerous. So he was more my business coach, and we had a great time. And just really built a nice business. Ended up being all refrigerated, and in 2000, summer of 2006, he told me he wanted to retire for a second time, and we had grown it. I mean, we didn't have plans of ever exceeding 5 trucks, and we were 60 trucks, 100 trailers, and had a really nice business. I was still in my 20s, so I didn't really want to go all in and wanted to see how others did it. So we made the decision to put the business for sale. And in early 2007, we sold that business, and I stayed on with the company that we sold to, and became a partner in that business down the road. And grew that business from 400 trucks up to about 1,000 trucks when I left there in 2016. So when I left there, I was pretty burned out, honestly, and didn't know if I ever wanted to see another truck again, and that only lasted about 3 months. So then I'm like, yeah, we gotta, my wife and I had never, she'd always been very involved in the business, but really never worked in it day in, day out. And we really wanted to do a company, just the two of us, and make it our own thing, do it however we wanted to do it. So and that's what we did. We started looking around for businesses, and I was thinking I wanted to move to the southeast, and she was thinking not. So here we are in the same town we were in. So Dubuque, Iowa.
Now, how did you decide? I mean, when you wanted to get into trucking again, how did you decide, buying versus starting from scratch? Like, why did you go towards buying?
I didn't want to start all over again. I wanted something that was somewhat established, had a good reputation, established brick and mortar, some customers, and drivers. The most important piece, the drivers. And when I started looking at companies in the area, you know, the Papes, even though it was 27 drivers, I mean they had fantastic drivers with good tenure, and we really wanted something like that to build on, instead of starting completely from scratch.
So, what role do you take upon yourself? So, I mean, in trucking, there's a few roles, whether it's I think it's HR or safety and compliance, dispatching. What role do you take upon yourself, and how do you guys divide it between you and your wife between the roles?
So she takes all the easy stuff. No, just kidding. um, no, we divide and conquer. She's got all of safety and HR, recruiting, and I've got basically everything else. So the operations, business development, IT, accounting, maintenance and assets, all the fun stuff.
Got it. So dispatching, I mean, how many, you have a room probably full of what, 30, 40, 50 dispatchers there?
There's not that many, but we've got, between dispatching, planning, customer service. We've got our place here in Dubuque, Iowa, our headquarters. We've got another location in Milan, Illinois, and then we've got another location in Burlington, Iowa, and one also over in the Kansas City area, and then we've got one out in the Pittsburgh area as well. So we've got operations kind of spread out, a little bit all over the place. So they're not all here in one building, but they're.
And you provide warehousing service also?
We have done some in the past. It's not anything. It's not a frontline business for us. But if we have a customer that has needs, we'll always try to figure it out.
Now, I didn't ask. You guys specialize in van, reefer, flatbed. What is, or a combination of?
So we do. We have a lot of van trailers. From a trailer standpoint, we have more van trailers than anything. But the fleets are probably about 60-65% van. The majority of the rest is open deck. So we run flatbeds, we run step decks, RGNs. We've got a heavy haul fleet. We just hauled a big machine the other day. The machine itself was 160,000 pounds. So, multi-axle, setup. So it was, yeah, we do a little bit of everything. And then we have 3 reefers. So not very many reefers. I was in refrigerated for so long, and we're slowly getting back into that, but really doing that more on the dedicated side of things. So we run dedicated fleets, and then we also run. We have another business called Sustainable Yard Management that does trailer spotting and yard management and offers loading services. So that's another business as well.
So there's a lot of entrepreneurs out there that are watching, that are following this channel. And if you can maybe, give some, if you can just give some inspiration, what qualities would you say are probably the most important, and what motivation can you give people that want to start out in this industry, that want their own, fleet, to grow their fleet? What message would you have for them?
So number one, it's not easy. So I mean, everyone, when times are good, people think that, oh, just get into trucking and pound the broker boards and get rich. That's not how it works. What goes up must come down. We've been experiencing that here the last couple of years, and it's about surrounding yourself with good people. I had someone years ago ask me the question, and it's one of the toughest questions anyone's ever asked me. But how do you get someone to make the same decision that you would make. And I still don't know that I have a crystal clear answer to that, but what I've found is just bringing in good people, people that you can trust and empower to, to make decisions. And hey, yeah, we all screw up. Nobody's perfect, and you fix it and move on. But our people it's really that's the backbone of our business. From our drivers to non-drivers, the people is what it's all about, and the customer side of things as well. It's partnering, finding good connections that where you can really be an extension of their business.
Nice, nice. Now, do you guys also have relationships with brokers? You work both with the manufacturing plants and with brokers, right?
Yeah, we have a brokerage. We've got a logistics arm ourselves. We do a very small amount of business with brokers, and our logistics arm isn't very big either. But yeah, we haul. I'm going to say about 5% ish of our freight is through brokers. So we, out of our top, I can't remember if it was our top 45 or top 50 customers. I think there were only two in there that were brokers. So
Wow.
so we've got a pretty diverse portfolio.
That's amazing. And you started off that way. I mean, there's a lot of fleet. There's a lot of drivers, owner operators that want to open up their own fleet and dispatch themselves. How would you recommend that they get into less reliance on brokers?
It's tough, and it's gotten more challenging because so many shippers. Well, it's because of litigation, but so many shippers want protection. They want extra millions in protection. Um, they want backup for service. They don't want just one truck, and if something goes down, the load's not covered type thing. Um, it's mainly it's finding that one shipper that you can really hook your wagon to, and offer something that somebody else doesn't. Um, so in most cases, it's probably going to be a small shipper, something right in your hometown, that you can establish a relationship with someone there locally, and really show them what you can do. And then maybe 6 months or a year down the road, you add a truck, or and just slowly start building on it. But it takes, I'll tell you, when we first started back in '99, if it wasn't for my father, being like the king of sales, we were probably only running 5 trucks, maybe 7 trucks. And we were, the refrigerated trucks were going down to the southeast, and my dad didn't like working with brokers, and he found a couple of poultry customers down there, and got us in the door, and we were hauling direct, on the way back as well. So it was pretty cool to watch, to see that develop and how it developed. But it's really, even though the business has changed, certainly quite a bit since 1999, it's all based around people, and it's getting that connection, and what can you offer that person? How can you make their pain go away?
Got it. There's a lot of small fleet owners that watch the channel, and a lot of them are struggling with scaling. If you can recall back when you had 40 power units, what advice would you have for those companies that want to scale? So from 40 to get to 80, from 80 to 160, what would you say? What kind of advice would you give them?
Have a plan, number one. How are you going to get there? Um, you can Scaling becomes pretty easy as long as you've got a solid plan that you have the business to get there. You certainly don't want to have 40 trucks, and buy another 40 trucks and decide to, double in size overnight. You want to have it mapped out, and really, maybe it's a 3-year plan. Maybe I would encourage everyone to have a 5-year plan. But it's all about planning it out, and then as you're going through it, how do you readjust when something doesn't go as planned? Because there's always going to be that. There's always going to be ups and downs in the business, and it's really just, how do you react? How do you respond when something doesn't go as planned? But really, having a solid plan, having the customers, having the driver base, where you're not going to have sleepless nights because of growth. You don't want that. You want to maintain the safety and the integrity of your business. You don't want to risk everything just to grow.
There's a lot of companies out there that have multiple MC numbers. So the way that they're growing is they put, one, I guess their dry vans with one MC, their reefers with another MC, their flatbeds with another MC. What do you think about that? Having, one trucking company that has multiple MCs.
I don't like it, and I don't agree with it. The only other MC that I would suggest having would be a brokerage, if you're able to broker the freight. I don't. I've never been a fan of doing that, because it seems like companies that do that, once one MC starts having a safety issue, they shut it down and move over to another MC, and I struggle with that sort of business plan. We're kind of, we believe in safety and the safety culture, and if you're going to do things the right way, you would want it all under one MC. I would think, but
Yeah, no, I totally agree with that, for sure. But I'm getting a lot of comments about that. A lot of, hey, why not split up your fleet? And for me, obviously, it's I feel like the safety thing, insurance. I want everything under one umbrella, one MC. I don't want to start splitting them. I can't imagine what a dispatch room would look like if you have multiple MCs, but I don't even want to think about that.
well, it just really complicates things. I mean, like you mentioned with insurance, you've got to have a different driver pool for each. You've got to have your same hiring standards, and how do you not cross contaminate? And it I think it would be very challenging, and I don't understand the reasoning behind it, unless you're planning to, hey, if we're unsafe here and we get in trouble, I'm going to shut it down and move over to here, which I don't agree with at all.
Got it. What advice would you have for, when it comes to safety and compliance? What advice would you have for other small fleet owners to keep their safety scores low, to keep them clean? Like, what would be your, advice to them? Where can they run into problem that they should kind of steer away from?
I mean, the old saying is, quick to fire, slow to hire. If you have someone that's risky, don't let it become a problem. Don't let them have an accident. Get rid of them. We With that said, coaching coaching works very well. If you've got safety front burner in your organization, and you've got safety as, hey, it's non-negotiable. If you've got coaches out there working with the team, you can make a lot of progress, and say, maybe change the mentality of a driver that's, say, speeding. They've maybe in their past life they've always felt like they've had to speed in order to make a good paycheck. Well, we try to encourage them, like, hey, we pay you enough. We don't want you to have to speed to make a living. So we want to do things safely, and we want to make sure you return to your family safely, and everyone around you does. So that's it's establishing that culture from a safety standpoint, and you can't say it if you can't say it and do it if you don't truly believe it. So you really you've got to have that as a core value if that's what you want to be.
All right. Um, the last 18 months have been extremely tough.
Yeah.
I would say for fleet owners, for small fleets, large fleets, I mean, everybody. What kind of challenges would you say a fleet owner faces when freight rates start decreasing month over month and it lasts this long?
And it's really, you've got we've got a group of core customers that understand that our costs continue to increase even though the market says rates should be decreasing. um, it's a great time to look at efficiencies. How do you make your fleet more efficient? How do you how do you it's a penny business. I've always said it's a penny business. So how do you save an extra penny here, an extra penny there, and it multiplies. So it's really looking at your costs. um, in some cases it's looking at staffing, and are you overstaffed? Do you have the right size driver pool for the freight that you have, or are you taking more cheap freight just to keep the drivers busy? Does it make sense to saw off the cheap freight and reduce the size of the fleet a little bit? So in the last couple of years, yeah, there's been some really tough decisions that fleet owners have had to make, and ourselves included. I hate shrinking. I love growing the business, but in 2024, it was probably the worst year I've ever seen in the business, and it just didn't make sense to keep the hammer down on the growth pedal, and it actually made the most sense to pull back a little bit. Sell some trucks off. We parked a few trucks, and it was what was best for the business, as challenging as it was to get my mind past it.
Now, when you dial into efficiency, are we talking about also fuel consumption? Are we talking about the drivers with the way that they drive? Are we talking about the office staff, trailers, maybe the ratio between trailers to trucks? Like, what is it that you look at, or everything?
It's everything. It's all of everything you just mentioned. It's how can we, if we're a 5-to-1 trailer ratio, can we get it to a 4-to-1 trailer ratio and still support the business? If it's office staff, can every company has a different number, magic number for drivers on a dispatcher, but can we stretch it by 5? And how do we do more with less? And it's the equipment we're running. Is it spec'd right? Are we making sure we're recouping all the warranty? It's just as I mentioned, it's a penny business, and it's like every rock you turn over, there's a penny there. So pick it up and try to get it to stick.
When you guys are specking out trucks and trailers, what do you guys have a favorite truck that you guys like to purchase? Are you into one brand, or do you have multiple brands there?
We've got multiple brands. The majority of our fleet is Daimler, so Freightliner and Western Star. Um, Kenworth would be the next one. But we've got a little bit of everything there. We run a pretty high end spec. So our trucks are nice, and I always say, don't expect someone to do something you wouldn't do. So I'd gladly drive our trucks. I mean, they're super nice trucks.
Awesome, awesome. What do you foresee 2025? A lot of people are saying that, oh, it's going to be, I'm hearing the highs and the lows. Some people are very optimistic and think it's going to be a great year. And then there's others that are less optimistic. They're saying that, 2025, there's not going to be really much change. What do you think what do you envision 2025 to be?
So I envision 2025 to be better than 24, but not. I don't think it's going to be a banner year or a breakout year by any means. There was an industry publication that 2 days after the election, they said the freight recession was over, and I said, no way. It's that's too quick to call because you really the freight recession we've been negatively impacted so much that the freight recession's not over until you're able to get some meaningful increases. We need them because, as I mentioned before, the costs keep going up. So you got to get some increases somewhere along the way. Our plans for 2025, we've got some great plans, and we're really planning to continue to grow this year, or to get back to growth, I guess I should say. And we're going to do a lot of that on the dedicated side of things, and the trailer spotting and loading service side of things. So that's really, while fine tuning the over the road and the regional mix. So just perfecting things, but then adding on small fleets that make a lot of sense.
Now, when you're getting invited to RFPs and you're bidding on lanes, are you starting to see an uptick a little bit in the rates that you're able to push, or is it still a very competitive market?
It's pretty competitive. I mean, we're being forced to increase the rates. I mean, we can't operate where we were, but we're definitely getting questioned on a lot of those rates, and can you give us anything type thing. And we always want to do, handle the freight as cost effectively as we possibly can for our customers. But at some point, the increases again. I mean, the trucks increased again this year. Insurance isn't getting any cheaper, so you've got to inch it up a little bit. We've seen some very small positive movement there.
What do you think the biggest challenge is going to be for fleet owners in 2025?
I think that, depending on the size of the fleet, but I think this is kind of across the board. The insurance market is tough, and it can put guys out of business. It can put fleets out of business for sure. So I think, safety, if you've got safety front and center, and you're focused on that, you're probably going to be a winner. I think if you don't, you could definitely lose the game. Just on the insurance side of things. I mean, there's a lot of insurance companies that are saying, "Hey, you're no longer insurable." So I think that's going to remain a big challenge. I mean, the nuclear verdicts, that doesn't help anything when it comes to that. So that's the stuff that I think everyone's going to want to make sure they've got a handle on. Other challenges this year, I think. I mean, the customer side of things, and just being able to charge what you need to charge to make money is going to continue to be a challenge. Who knows what these tariffs are going to do, what the impact of those are going to have on our industry. But just still a lot of unknowns out there, I think. But yeah, it's trucking. We'll always find challenges, that's for sure. So.
Now, are you guys in a captive for insurance, or are you in the open market?
No, we were in a captive. We've been out of the captive about 6 months now, and we're on the open market, but we bet on ourselves. We're pretty heavily self-insured. So yeah, we bet pretty heavily on ourselves.
Technology.
Yeah.
In the last 7 years, how has technology changed in our industry? And I want you to think more of, the ELDs, I don't know what you guys are doing for tracking and tracing, but more on the how has technology changed the way you run your business?
It's changed immensely in the last 7 years since we came in here. I mean, we when we first bought the business, they were running settlement sheets off of a green bar printer, and that's where all the reports came from as well. So, we went from an old Systems 36 to we partnered with Trimble on the TMW suite side of things, and that's our main platform. We cycled through, I think, 4 or 5 different ELDs and partnered with a fantastic Canadian company, Isaac, and they've been great to work with. And now we're incorporating AI with them, which is some really cool technology. And then on the system side of things, we're implementing an optimizer right now that's also really cool, and it helps manage our commitments and stuff as well. So, on the tech side of things, I think as we take 2 steps forward, there's always a step back, and I think the AI. I think a lot of the AI stuff is going to be really cool. But I also think that AI is making it a lot easier to hack into our business. And I think that's, security is probably, is technology security is probably, that's got to be on everyone's radar this year as well, because I think it's only going to get more and more challenging to protect what you have. So.
For sure, for sure. What's the have you seen anything interesting when it comes to AI? I mean, aside from the ones that, driver not wearing a seatbelt and it'll tell them, or speeding, gets tracked and, the dash cam can tell the driver that he's speeding. But have you seen any other technology with AI that is really fascinating and that?
Yeah, there's some. There's AI that writes your emails for you. There's all kinds of cool stuff out there. The AI that we're doing with Isaac, it's going to peel it back a layer further, and it really highlights the drivers that you should be paying the most attention to. So, it's going to do some of the busy work that we do ourselves today, and that's really where I think AI can be the most impactful. Is how do you get AI to do the stuff that nobody wants to do, the stuff that's just tedious and repetitive tasks. So I've seen some really cool stuff. I don't want to share everything just yet. I want to, we're pretty early in a lot of the AI stuff, so I want to make sure it's as good as what I think it is before I share it all.
Awesome. What's your envision for the next 4 or 5 years? Are you planning to cash out? Are you planning to sell shares, or are you just keep adding trucks, growing your fleet? What's the plan for Tucker?
Our plan is to grow. We've really beefed up our business development team, and we've got some great folks on the front lines. And our plan is to continue to grow. Cashing out, there's no plans to cash out. We, as I found, if I get out of trucking, I just get right back into it. So I
Might as well stay in it.
yeah, yeah. So no, we have a lot of fun. We've got a great group of people here. The team that I work with, I'm fortunate. It's the best group of people I've ever worked with. So we have a lot of fun.
Awesome. Now, tell me something. When you come home, do you continue talking to your wife about work, or you guys leave work at work? Like, I've never worked with my wife, so
It's pillow talk. Yeah, we're always talking about it, but not. It doesn't bother me. You should probably interview her. It might bother her, but no. We have a pretty good work-life balance. I enjoy it though. I just like, to me, work is, a lot of what I do during the day is therapy. So I love it. I love the business. and love the people that we work with. So it's at home. I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know is the answer to that. We probably talk about it too much, but it depends on the day. So I guess that's the best way I can answer that question.
Got it. Another question that I have, on the personal side, how do you guys go on vacation together? And you guys can both comfortably just go on vacation and leave the business.
Hmm. Yeah. No, it's good. Like I said, we've got a good team. I mean, I kind of say I work for my team. I mean, and that's tell me what you need from me, and that's how kind of both of us have that approach. We empower the people and make good decisions. Let's all be on the same page with our plan and execute. But yeah, we travel a fair amount, and we're able to get away and helps that we can work from anywhere. So that's always nice.
A lot of people coming into the industry, they think that they're going to be working 24/7, nonstop 24/7, and I mean there is, a comfortable. I guess it takes time to build, but a good, work-life balance, and that's really why
Yeah,
I wanted to ask those questions.
yeah. When I started, it was more 24/7. And I'd say when I started back, like in the late '90s, early 2000s, I worked a lot. I worked a lot more than I should have, and what I see is try and find a way to work smarter, not harder, and it can be tough to do, but it's you're able to do it. You're able to do it.
Awesome, great. Well, anything else you'd like to tell our audience or mention or give?
I mean, just if you're looking, if you're looking for a good company, if you're a driver, or a customer a shipper that's looking for a good company. I mean, we're not perfect. I always say that we're not perfect, but we'll try harder than anyone else to make it right. So give us a shot. We've got high standards. So not everyone fits in our box, but you know, it, we're gonna have a great 2025, no matter what the rest of the industry does. So if you want to join a winning team, come over to Tucker Freight Lines. So
Perfect, perfect. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it.